You probably have some goals for social media, and if you don't, you should, because social media is the most free, obviously the most free, it can be the most free. Social media is the most organic way to grow your following and grow customers and make those sales that you don't have to spend money for. It does, of course, take time, which is why you should be setting goals and trying to improve. But if you have goals for social media, what I find in my clients is there is a wrong way of approaching goals for social media and a right way to approach goals for social media. And talking with my coaching clients and seeing kind of the patterns that people will tend towards for goals for social media, I thought today I would kind of assess the top 3 things to improve those goals for social media so that you can grow on social media for your business. How many more times can I say social media? But seriously, social media is super important for growing your customer base and just having that customer connection and really growing that organic reach. So work on it if you are not, for sure. Okay, the first thing is something I find with goals in general, but especially with social media with clients, is that people focus on output goals or results more than input goals, which is like what you are putting into it. So I see a lot of people saying, I want to hit 10,000 followers by the end of the year. I want to have a increased engagement by 2% by like the middle of the year or something like that, right? While those are not bad goals to set in general, I would definitely encourage you to not only have those goals to try and reach those goals, but focus more and really spend your time on what I call input goals. So you have no control over output goals, right? You have no control over whether you're going to get 10,000 followers by the end of the year. But what you do have control is over the type of content that you're producing, how much content you're producing, how much you're improving on that content, etc. Right? So instead of saying, I'm going to reach 10,000 followers by the end of the year, what you can say is, I'm going to spend half the amount of time doing reels as I am right now by the end of the year, which means that I can like post double the amount of reels that I'm posting by the end of the year, right? So that is something for you to focus on. That is something for you to input, right? You have control over that. You have control over how much time you're spending researching and how much time you're spending improving and practicing and how much reels you're making and caption writing, etc., right? You're learning. And that does influence the output goal, which is how many followers you get. But merely having that I'm going to reach 10,000 followers by the end of the year is really vague of a goal, and you kind of just don't have a focus of what you're really trying to put into social media. You're just focusing on what you're trying to get out of social media, right? So really focus on what you are putting into those goals instead of what you're trying to get out of it. The second part of social media goals that I see really often, or just goal setting in general, is that there's a large focus on avoidance goals instead of approach goals. So I want to go into a little bit of what that is and the psychological study behind it, because when I learned about it, I thought it was very, very fascinating. When you set a goal, there are 2 ways to approach it. One way is an avoidance, where you want to avoid an undesired outcome. And there's one way where it's an approach goal, where you are trying to get a desired outcome, okay? So let's take, for example, social media, since we're talking about it, right? So if our goal is that we are trying to post 2 times a week this month, right? The avoidance goal is, I want to post 2 times a week on social media, because if I don't, the algorithm is going to hate me and I'm going to lose followers. The approach goal is, I want to post 2 reels a week because that keeps my audience get engaged and that might make people want to buy from me more, right? So one is like a negative, like I'm trying to avoid this, and one is a positive, like I might gain this. This is what I will gain if I complete that goal. And the very, very interesting part of this approach versus avoidance, like psychological study that I learned when I was learning about it is, I'm going to read it to you because I don't want to mess it up. In one series of studies, those who were encouraged to write an avoidance goal were significantly more likely to procrastinate than those that were encouraged to write an approach goal. Very interesting, right? If you are writing an avoidance goal, you're much more likely to procrastinate. But if you are writing an approach goal, you're less likely to procrastinate. Part 2, in another series of studies, those who are encouraged to write an avoidance goal performed worse, getting lower grades, completing fewer tasks, and running shorter distances. So again, very, very interesting. I always think the mind is so complex, and I think it's very, very interesting when psychological studies like this are published, because it kind of gives us an example of how we can kind of frame the things that we are doing to help us not procrastinate, to help us really reach and approach those goals in a positive and more likely to complete kind of way. So with your social media, I would really, really encourage you, right? When you are learning the very frustrating process of learning how to post reels, because wow, is it frustrating, right? It's not a, oh my God, if I don't learn this, the algorithm is going to punish me and I'm not keeping up and this is so hard and I'm just trying to avoid all these negative things, right? Instead, it's an approach thing, right? Like if I learn this, I learn a new skill. If and when I learn this, I'm able to reach even more audience and gain even more customers and grow sales for my business and really share this mission that my business is trying to get to. As much as I love social media, sometimes posting also feels like a drag, even though I know I need to post, I know I need to promote my products. And that really is the approach that I really try and do now, right? If I don't feel like making a reel, if I don't feel like doing this, I always think about how much better I'll feel after. I always think of how excited I am for potential comments to come in, etc., right? You're really seeing that positive view of it, that positive end goal of it, instead of I'm trying to avoid this and it kind of sucks and I have to do this because of the dreaded algorithm. And the last thing I see in a lot of coaching clients when they talk about social media in general is a very, very large part of taking too much time to scroll and find ideas instead of producing and practicing. So of course, we need to scroll the socials. We need to be on it to see what's trending, to see what's kind of resonating with the audience and what's going on in the current zeitgeist, right? I totally understand that you need to scroll to get ideas. However, it goes back to my 80-20 rule I talk about every single week, right? For every 20 minutes that you are spending scrolling, you better be spending 80 minutes trying to produce content, right? So for me, when I open Instagram, I have a very specific thing that I am trying to do, a very specific idea I'm trying to research, right? So I'm like, I need to promote my new limited edition Valentine's thing tomorrow, right? I need an idea for it. So something that works really well for me is that I will say, I'm gonna set a timer for 12 minutes. I'm gonna scroll for 12 minutes, right? And then I'm gonna scroll for 12 minutes. I'm gonna write down all the ideas I get while I'm scrolling 12 minutes, and then I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna create from there, right? Because if I don't set that limit of 12 minutes, next thing you know, it's gonna be 2 hours later and I'm getting ideas for this and this and this, or I'm feeling really discouraged and I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone's reels are so much better, mine suck, etc., right? And that mindset is really not gonna get you to be able to grow and improve your skills on social media. It's really just gonna get you to compare and get you to have shiny objects in it and just get way too distracted, right? So stop the scrolling is the third tip that I really, really have for all my coaching clients that I work with. It is such a black hole that they get you and you're scrolling and you're like, 3 hours later, I did nothing and I forgot why I even came onto this platform in the first place, right? So something I tell my coaching clients is when you open Instagram, you need to set an intention for why you're opening Instagram, right? Am I opening Instagram to see who commented on my post and reply to them, do that engagement? Am I opening Instagram because I need a 5-10 minute break and I need to scroll? No problem, right? Or am I opening Instagram to get an idea? Set a time limit, right? And I would even encourage some coaching clients to write it down before they open Instagram. So when they open Instagram, they can be like, oh yeah, I'm here for this. And I can do all the idea getting for other things later, right? I can do all the inspiration later. So that is my third tip for your social media goals this year. Social media is such a powerful tool, and if you are not using it, you really, really should, and you really should be trying to gain your skills on it because it is just a platform that has a wide reach that 10 years ago we did not have, right? So try and take advantage of it, even though it feels very, very competitive. If you are setting the right goals for social media and you are approaching it in the right kind of way, I really believe that is something that can feel very organic. It can feel very enjoyable, maybe not easy, but very enjoyable, right? And very effortless the more you practice it. That is really what I try and focus all the things I teach on, right? That social media can be your friend, that it can feel very natural and just part of your workflow, and that you don't need to be controlled by your social media content calendar, etc., that you can control it and you can use it to your benefit. If you want to see the ways to work with me and the programs and coaching that I am running, please check out the link below. And then I think I'm supposed to say subscribe and like and comment, etc., etc. See you next week.